Hi, it's Scott Tempesta from Sailing Anarchy, back with it with another one of our retro videos. Today is an awesome boat. There's no way to slice this any other way. Today we are doing the J145. Okay, we have a couple fun facts about the J145. It's 48 feet long, weighs about 19,000 pounds, 13 feet wide. It's got a triple spreader carbon hull spar. I think the eye on this boat is 63 feet. They only made 18 of these boats, and I believe 1999 is when they started, and they ended production relatively early in the 2000s. This is a boat that is fast, and it shows in the PHRF rating. Care to guess what this thing rates in PHRF? 6, 12? No, it's minus 15. Now that is a rating, and the boat appears to be able to sail to it. Let's step in the back and take a look at the features in the cockpit, shall we? All right, in the back end of the J145, lots of features, both for racing and for cruising. It's got a nice carbon fiber wheel, which is good for anything. It's got a really nice mount for a really nice set of B&G instruments on this particular boat. You got these two giant openings, really for access down there. That's all they are, to get to the quadrant and all of that. You lift this up and access the rudder head. I suppose you could put a emergency tiller on there, I think, but you have to get all this stuff out of the way. I'm not really sure, but what I like about almost every J boat is they have things in proportion. The winch islands are low, the cabin house is low, and so in terms of visibility, it's really nice to see, even for a shrimp like me. I mean, I can see over just about anything on the boat, and it's all very convenient. It's nice and ergonomically laid out in that regard. This is the back of the boat. This is slightly forward of the boat because here's where the mainsail trimmer is. He's got his main sheet here. It's double-ended. It runs below decks. We'll show you that a little bit. And then you've got the traveler access right here as well. So again, most boats are like this, but the communication level between the helmsman and the mainsail trimmer, it's automatic on this particular boat. Let me show you something forward in the cockpit that's interesting. It's straight from the brochure, and I'm gonna have a little fun with it. Come up here and take a look. So now I'm sitting in the actual cockpit of the boat. It's nice size. You can lay down. Really nice, comfy, angled backs right here for the winch islands. It's got a funny little feature. So see how the deck raises up right there? So J-boats called these messenger bumps or something like that. Basically, the idea is that if the boat heels over, this will remind you, start to slide into this thing and remind you that the boat's heeling. Well, maybe the message should just go to the mainsail trimmer and let the goddamn mainsail out. How about that? I'm not sure you need messenger rails here, but I understand for people who don't quite get it. Maybe I'm the one who doesn't get it. Oh, I want to show you one thing. This is where the main sheet exits. Runs forward, it's split, back to his own winch, like I said. Giant, giant primaries. I mean, you could theoretically put a grinder on this boat, but it would look pretty ridiculous to have a grinder right in the middle of this really nice, spacious, cruisy cockpit. So now I've inched about 2 feet forward, and just to show you the pit area, right? It's got 5 clutches in total, 2 really good sized winches to jam on those halyards, or spinnaker tack line, whatever. Simple and easy. It's also worth noting, look how cool the B&G instruments are located there. I believe our friend Artie Means had a lot to do with that, and it just looks nice. That way it's good access for people to read these things here. There's also some billboards up on the mast as well. So in terms of instrumentation and people getting the numbers and the information, from the helmsman with his instrument display to mid-boat here and then to the front of the boat, every crew's got all the info they need right there. Let's go forward and I'll show you some more stuff on this boat. Okay, we've moved forward to the mast area. It's interesting to note there's actually 2 pit areas on this boat. They run a Genoa halyard back there, and I'm not sure over there. Here, I don't think they use these anymore. They decided to move these aft to there, but you know, if you want 19 halyards and 28 tack lines, you got plenty of winches and jammers for that. We're here, this is the jib track forward into the boat. The boat's got 2 Genoa tracks, inboard lead and outboard lead. One thing that's worth noting is take a look at those turnbuckles. Now you just don't see those anymore. I mean, it's probably a little bit of a tip to how old the boat is, and it's interesting to think that a J145 is actually 20 years old. I mean, what? Where'd that time go? So that's really a product of a slightly bygone era, but it's an interesting thing because you just don't see those anymore. Before we go up and check out the foredeck on this boat and this incredible sprit on this thing, you know my thing with windows, right? So J-Boats, like always, does it just about right. Super low cabin house, given the freeboard and the length of this boat. The windows are nothing spectacular in terms of design, but they're just nice. They incorporate themselves into this deck house really well. There's plenty of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it just fits nicely into the boat. I really like that aspect of this boat. Now let's go forward. So one of the nice things about having a 48-foot boat is you have a lot of deck space. And this boat, it has loads. You'll notice this is where the nice low cabin house comes in. Nothing really to trip over. Just a big, nice place to hang out. I suppose if you were anchored, you could be sitting up here in the sun. Well, I wouldn't be, the girls would be, of course. Let me show you the sprit on this thing. So it's rare to see a boat this big with a sprit. Generally speaking, and I love that J-Boats did that because I'm huge on these things. So I'm gonna pull this thing out and you'll see what this thing's got. I mean, it's impressive. There you go. So the kites on this thing are huge. Now let's take a look down below. Pretty interesting down there. Come on. All right, down below the J145. It's a roomy boat like you would think, of course. Galley's really nice because who's ever in here doing whatever they're doing, you know, they can be up against here or they can be up against here. So if it's windy, you're heeling over, you have a little support areas there. Of course, it's refrigeration, cutting board, 2 sinks, don't you know? Let's go back and see what's here. It's the head, but there's more. If you look all the way back there, there's a single pipe berth, and that's gotta be for like the bad boy crew, the guy that screwed up something, like, you go sleep back there, because I can't think of a more unpleasant place to be. First of all, because it's unpleasant back there, no ventilation, pretty awful. But then if somebody comes up here and, you know, drops a deuce and then says, hey dude, enjoy your sleep, closes the door, that's not much fun. So I can't imagine that's the most desired bunk on the boat. But there's a couple right over here. Nice double bunk back here, huge, plenty of room for 2 people. You'd put a divider there if you were racing offshore so that you could have 2 people back here. On a starboard power reach, you want to get the weight to weather and aft if you can. So that would be really great. There's also a hanging locker here as well. There was a door here once, but apparently it's not needed on this boat. The nav station, really nice. Pleather seats. I don't know, they might be leather. You've got, a navigator's got everything you'd want here, right? He's got the main display here. This is a B&G Hercules 2000. You've got the VHF here. And then of course, this is just a really nice thing. Plenty of room for storage, obviously, but just in terms of environment and keeping in mind that this is a compromised boat, even though this boat really isn't much of a compromise. I mean, it's got the features and the finish that would be sort of appropriate for a cruising boat. And then it's got the race features, right? The super tall mast, the giant sprit, and these boats are legitimately fast, but it's a nice place to be. So while we're here, let me show you the magic of Artie Means. So he had a real mess back here, as you can see in the picture, and look how he cleaned it up. I mean, that's fabulous. Really nicely done. Not a lot that's complicated. Of course, can't figure any of it out, but it looks a lot better than it did. That's Artie Means for you. Oh, by the way, get your VHF here. Let me call in. Yes, mayday, mayday, we're sinking. We're sinking. Nobody cares. Relaxing in the main salon on the J145. I mean, it's nice. Upper berths here with lee cloths, right, for offshore racing. These lower settees, lee cloth here. Same on the port side as well. It's nicely finished. Everything is clean. A beautiful table for dining down here. Nice that it folds away so that you can slide sails to and fro. As you look at the boat, you see again, it's got just nice little touches that indicate more of a cruising boat, or at least make people happy. They're down below and they're like, oh, I'm in this terrible race boat. It's like, no, I'm in a really nice boat. By the way, you look at this, it's not a handrail. That's where the main sheet goes. It starts here from the deck here and it runs all the way back under deck and exits right before the main sheet winches. Pretty nice thing. Probably wondering what this is. Well, this here is the kelp stick. I mean, you could probably find another place to store it, but here's where it is, and it's extra long because the rudder on this boat is deep, and this is what you get kelp off the rudder from. The boat does not have a kelp cutter, interestingly enough, so they use a floss line to get the kelp off the keel. Let's talk about the Holy Grail, right? We talked about it in our last video. What does this boat have that people would really be attracted to about it? And I gotta be honest, everything. This boat is kind of an everything boat. You can entertain on the boat. You can day sail on the boat. You can legitimately cruise on this boat. You can offshore in this boat, and it's a pretty good buoy boat as well. So if you're looking for something in this size range, in this price range, good luck finding one used. I don't think there are any, and there's a reason why, because it's a really nice boat. The Holy Grail in this boat is literally everything. All right, in the Forepeak of the J145. Now this is the part where they don't really do much for the cruising life. A lot of space here for pipe berths, but really primarily these are used for sail storage, which is great. Get them out of the main cabin, get them up here. It's just an interesting place with a lot of volume. I did a transpac, I think my first transpac in 1977, something like that. And it was on a big Mull 54. And the whole forepeak of the boat was empty, just completely empty. So we would come up here and smoke a little weed when the owner didn't know. And we would write weird things in here and song lyrics and stuff. And so this became known as the Devo room on the boat I did in Hawaii. I don't know what you call this, but it does have a nice double bunk. Now, it's kind of a strange thing. I mean, it works. I will tell you this, I would suspect the only girl that you're gonna get down here is one that's had a few rum drinks. I mean, seriously, this is just, can I call it odd? I mean, it kind of is, but if you think about it, you want a double berth? Here it is. Yeah, the girlfriend or the wife, she's gonna go, where's the head? Where's the hanging locker? Where's the storage? All that stuff's back here. This is kind of the business end of the boat in terms of, you know, this and sail storage, packing sails up here. It's a pretty good place, but you probably would think that you go from the main salon to here, you would have such a harsh transition. But on the J145 they kept a lot of weight out of the front of the boat by doing this. I mean, best of both worlds, I'd say. So one of the most frequent comments we get from you folks is, what's the boat next to you? Well, this one's a J160 and it's a beauty, and we'll try to see if we can do this boat coming up soon. We have some really sweet boats coming. You almost won't believe what we got coming up next, so you gotta stay with us on this. By the way, we'll comment on the hat. Some of you say a few things about the hats I wear. Cleveland Browns? Really? Bro, you live in San Diego. I'm a Baker Mayfield fan, therefore I'm a Cleveland Brown fan. Get it? Okay, so this is the J145 video. Hope you liked it. I mean, on this boat, what's not to like? Oh, speaking of liking, there's a like button down there. Click that about 50 times before you leave, and there's a subscribe button right there, and you gotta click in, you gotta be part of the team here, right? For Sailing Anarchy, for Nobleman Productions, I'm Scot Tempesta. We out.